guys, my name is Mr. Morefield. Today in World History class we're talking about the ancient Greeks. And in this first video specifically, their geography. Because it's the geography that explains or describes or that causes these people to be who they really are. It allows them to have the culture that they have. But these people are no river civilization. They live in an area consisting of mountains and seas. They are a seafaring, island-dwelling, maritime trading, crop-growing, goat-raising, olive oil selling, shipbuilding, colony creating, city-state developing, mythology believing, Greek-speaking people. And so, come along as we discuss the Greeks, who are really a breathtaking civilization. That's right. Okay, now, you know how Mesopotamia and Egypt and India and China are all located on major rivers? Well, the mainland of Greece is located on a peninsula. A peninsula is a piece of land that sticks out into a body of water, and so therefore it's surrounded on three sides by water. Now, Greece is a little different. As you can see, there are two peninsulas, and they are connected by an isthmus, and that isthmus is called the Isthmus of Corinth. And now, an isthmus is basically a little tiny piece of land that connects two main or larger bodies of land. And so Greece is connected by the Isthmus of Corinth. To the south is the Mediterranean Sea, east is the Aegean Sea, and to the west is the Ionian Sea. That peninsula that is south of the mainland is the Peloponnesian Peninsula. Now, why is that important? Because the Peloponnesian Peninsula is going to come up again when Athens and Sparta war against one another in the Peloponnesian War. All right, remember that, the Peloponnesian War is going to come into play in the next few lessons that we're going to learn about in Greece. So in addition to that, you need to know that Asia Minor is to the east. To the north is Macedonia. That's where Philip of Macedon and Alexander the Great are going to come from. You have the well-known city-state of Athens, who is really the largest city-state. And then you have Sparta here, but they are not the only city-states, but probably the most well-known of all of the city-states that are in Greece. Now, the geography of ancient Greece can be described like this. It is mountainous. It has about 70% mountains. So those mountains obviously make it rugged and rocky. And as we said a few moments ago, it is a peninsula that's surrounded by water. There are little small islands as well as coastal plains for farming. And if you think about it for just a moment, if the mountainous area makes up about 70%, how much does that leave for simply farming? Not a lot, does it? Anywhere between 20 and 30% really is the specifics about how much farmland they have. So what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to go to the seas. That's right. We'll get to that in just a moment, as you'll see. So the results of their geography include these. You have their being separated or isolated, which means they are simply creating their own governments. They are their own people. They are telling themselves what to do and not everyone else. And so it's hard for them to discuss things. It's hard for them to communicate amongst one another, back and forth. And so they are their own people. They are independent. They are obtaining their own wealth and farming their own lands and also making their own city-states and own colonies. And so what are they going to have to do? Because they can't, there's so many mountains around and water around, what are they going to do when they run out of farmland? They take to the seas. We call that maritime trading. Maybe we will sell the 7 seas. Well, not really. They'll actually only sell 3, the Ionian, the Aegean Sea, and the Mediterranean Sea. Anyway, maritime trade is very important to these people because it is through this trade that they are able to stretch out and find food and other resources that they did not have on their own lands. So this resulted in their exchanging products, culture, and ideas with other people. As the early Greek villages grew into cities, that is, many countries called city-states, or you might call them Greek polis. Well, now you can't say you've not learned a Greek word. Polis is a Greek term. Polis, it is the idea of a city-state. Now, if you remember back in Mesopotamia, we learned about city-states. They had their own governments. They had their own lands. They were protected by walls. They had ways they let water into the city and out of the city. They were their own independent people. It's like a mini country. That's exactly what these Greeks are doing. They call it a polis because that is the Greek term. These Greek city-states would grow and need more land as well. And so eventually they would have to colonize. And really what that means is they are stretching out their hands, so to speak, to obtain other lands so that they can farm on those lands. And what they would do is sail across the sea to different locations. They would set up their lands right there, and they would be able to farm the land and obtain the resources that are on that land and near that land, and then ship that back to their mainland or to their main city-state. And so they're able to then colonize those areas. They're the same people, but they're able to obtain more wealth and more resources, if you will. So the results of the Greek geography are separation, isolation, that is, maritime trade, these Greek city-states, and also colonies. Now, some of those people that are trading on the seas are the Minoans. Two groups I want to tell you about. First are the Minoans, and then secondly the Mycenaeans. The Minoans, we are the Minoans from the island of Crete. You need to know where Crete is. You need to write that down. You need to make sure you circle and highlight. Crete. The Minoans are from Crete. And what are they doing? What kind of people are they? Well, they did not speak Greek. So historians, archaeologists, tell us because they didn't speak Greek, they're not really considered Greeks. Just remember that. They did not speak Greek, therefore they're not considered Greeks. Everyone else spoke the same language, even though they were different, even though they were in different locations. So here are the Minoans. They do not speak Greek. They farmed and fished. They used the land and the waters, the sea, to the best of their ability. They took advantage of their area. They were known for their trade along the seas. They would come to different locations, trading and bargaining with other people. They were traders. Remember that. The Minoans, traders. They were a peaceful people. They didn't go to war like the Mycenaeans. They would be at peace, and they would try to trade peaceably. But something happened to them. Archaeologists tell us that there's probably a volcano out in the middle, probably near Santorini. Look up Santorini. It is beautiful there. Most likely there was a volcano somewhere that caused a tidal wave, and that tidal wave came and washed away a lot of the Minoan civilization and could have led to their downfall. They're not exactly sure. It could have been even this next group I'm going to tell you about, the Mycenaeans. So the Mycenaeans were not a very nice people. They weren't as peaceful as the Minoans, to say the least. Hi, we're the Mycenaeans, and we do speak Greek. They are considered the first civilization of Greece. Let me say that again. The Mycenaeans are considered the first major civilization in this area known as Greece. They were from the city of Mycenae, and they built these awesome fortified palaces. You can even see the remains of those today, and they would put everything behind those gates and those walls, and they would be really an impenetrable force. And so the Mycenaeans, they learned from the Minoans. We know they had trade with them. We know they learned from them. They learned how to navigate like the Minoans. And they also would raise olives and obtain olives to make oil, and they would make a lot of money from these. They would trade them. But unlike the Minoans, who were a peaceable people, the Mycenaeans were known for war. You might have heard of the Trojan War or Agamemnon. Those terms are going to come up later. They are to be associated with the Mycenaeans. Just know that for the future. But the Minoans, you could see them going over and going, hey, would you like to trade this for this? I'll give you this much, and so on. And people would, yeah, let's trade, let's get along. But the Mycenaeans weren't like that. The Mycenaeans would come along and say, hey, whether you want to give us this or not, or trade with this or not, we're just going to come and take it by force. They were a militaristic people. They were more about warring, which could have led to their downfall. It is said that some other people from different locations moved in to Greece and taking over, because we're not really sure what happened to the Mycenaeans. We just know that somehow, some way, their civilization declined over time as these other groups moved in, and this new time period became known as the Dark Age in Greece. So here's some review questions for you concerning the things we've learned today in this video. Here we go. Number 1, on what geographical feature was Greece located? Number 2, what was the first major civilization to develop in Greece? And number 3, how are the Minoans and the Mycenaeans similar? If you know the answers to these questions, then you have a general sense of what this lesson has been about. All right, guys, that's going to do it for ancient Greece and the geography. It really is their geography that makes them the unique culture that they are. Check out my other videos for more study about the ancient Greeks. We're talking about the ancient Greeks here. As Frederick Douglass once said, where there's no struggle, there's no progress. Happy learning.